there, everyone. Welcome to the Connection Podcast. You're here with Schuler Johnson from PILT Paranormal. And I have to say, I am pretty excited because this is our first official episode for our podcast. So this whole podcast game is kind of new, something that we've never really considered. And yet here we are, jumping into it. We've been on a couple of podcasts ourselves as guests, and we've gotten pretty good feedback stating that we should try to start up our own and see where it goes. So here we are. For the time being, however, it's just going to be myself along with a guest that we're going to schedule with and bring onto the podcast. But moving forward, what we're planning on doing is jumping on this podcast here and forming like a group discussion type of environment and moving forward in that direction. But until we get times and days figured out here, it's just going to be myself with a couple of guests coming on, and we're going to talk about everything paranormal. So until that time, I don't think it's going to be all that bad. Alright, so we got some pretty good information going on here. I don't need to bore you guys anymore with the introduction, so let's go ahead and get started with today's podcast. So for our first official podcast, we have our first official guest. Her name is Mary Willemsen, and she is from the Netherlands. So Mary has her own group on Facebook called Ghost Talk Live, and what she does is she gets some video footage going on that's in a live broadcast feed, and she'll talk and discuss with the people that are running the feed, and she'll share it to the Facebook page, and people can watch and check it out, and even comment and interact with the original broadcasters and Mary herself. And everything that Mary is streaming is pretty much live feeds from all around the world. It's really interesting. So you'll be able to witness some really unique and cool stuff. It's really awesome. Luckily for us, once we had started up our Instagram account, we had some followers come on through, and one of those followers was Mary. Once Mary had contacted us, we talked a little bit about the paranormal, obviously, exchanged some information, and next thing you know, we're setting up a date for a podcast episode, and here we are. So being that this is our first episode for the podcast, go figure that we ran into some technical issues. When I called Mary, I ran into some audio and connection issues, which isn't all too weird because the obvious distance is quite far from the United States to the Netherlands. So it took us a minute to get everything figured out and, hooked up into the right ports, but we got everything settled. So what I'm trying to prepare you for is the beginning of this podcast. It's a little choppy, a little rough in the first 30 seconds or so, but we get things figured out pretty early, and everything's pretty much smooth sailing from there, and it's a really good talk. So let's go ahead and jump into that call that I made with Mary and talk about acceptance, beliefs, methods, and the paranormal. Mary? Hello, how are you doing? That's awesome. I'm doing pretty good. It's starting out to be a decent morning. Looks like we have our audio fixed here. Absolutely. Okay, awesome. That's good. I'm actually looking at mine too. Everything's going good besides... Oh, that's why, because I don't have... or maybe I do. I have my audio going, but it's only recording my voice right now and not yours. But just last night I did a test run with my paranormal team, and it was doing just fine.
And what they do about the evidence and how often they go back to get the evidence. So, yeah, and that was cleared. Yeah, so I have some nice talks so now and then.
Awesome. I mean, sometimes you have to go back and forth between discussions to figure out if something's true or not, because you're going to have so many people out there saying, hey, this is fake, or hey, this is real. Well, evidence is one thing, but then you got people, you can show them hardcore physical evidence, and they're like, you know what, I just don't believe this,
Yeah, for sure. In the Netherlands, we have that a lot because it's still a bit of a taboo. And if you're psychic, then the majority still thinks you have a wild imagination. And a small group is depending on the mediums, the psychics. So it's a bit changing, but still far beyond the States, it's still far back. I think 15 years in
Wow.
development.
That's
Yeah,
something
that's a lot.
else.
Yeah, it
And
is.
Mary, I think that's something super, super awesome and just intriguing. Like comparing the United States to the Netherlands, with how people to this day still think it's super, super taboo. And then you got some people, they're born into it and they're like, oh, this is the way I live life. I was raised this way. It's like, it's just interesting to have these different levels of comprehension and acceptance.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm so excited to have the debates with several different people, different side of views, and it goes far. It really goes far. It's about pagan, Wicca, satanic worshipping, Ouija boards,
Oh, yeah.
paranormal teams, about everything. I love the debates.
That's awesome, Mary. Yeah, I have to agree
Yeah.
with you on that as well. I mean, there's just so many things that you can touch in that you can relate to, or that you can say, hey, paganism and Satanism, we got two different things here, but then you got someone's like, well, if you take both of them, you meet in the middle with a certain ritual or a certain belief, it's like they're technically the same thing. So, I mean, you just have
Yeah.
so much that you can go with. And to what I tell people when it comes to the paranormal and the spiritual world, it's kind of like just a giant puzzle, a jigsaw puzzle, if you will, or something, and there's a lot of pieces to it.
It is, and I don't think we get a quarter of the answers in our lifetime. It's still so far ahead to get all the answers, if we even get them.
You're right. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
even if we do get the answers. And you saying that kind of had me think a little bit about religion. Christianity, Buddhism, and uh, Catholics, and I mean just everybody around the world. And it's like everyone believes if they're really like devout to the religion, they believe they're right. And some people they believe that they're the only ones that are right. Well, I try to take a step back and I talk with people. I'm like, if you look at all these different religions that we have, each one has a lot of, similarities to it, but they also have differences. And
yeah,
it's like they're pieces. Every religion is like a piece, and like you were just saying, maybe some are right, some are wrong. Maybe we can kind of mold them together and get that one answer.
yeah. I do agree on that. If you look at the similarity and the things, they are equal in every belief. I think it's people who were gaining for power, who gave them rules and yeah, certain rituals to go by, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. If someone is telling me you don't have the permission to celebrate your birthday,
Yeah.
or you can't have a heart transplant because it's not natural. You have to go to church every Sunday because otherwise you end up in hell. I don't like that kind of talk. Just the beliefs a whole. There's something out there who is powerful enough to give faith, energy, and answers to everyone. And the one is calling him God, the other one Buddha,
Yeah.
the third one is talking about another religion. I think it's all alike at the end.
hmm Yeah, I agree with that too, Mary. It's funny you're saying that, bringing up like the different gods and stuff, because just a couple of days ago I was talking with some coworkers. I was like, I don't have proof of this, but this is just something that kind of hit me in the head, I don't know, a month ago. I'm like, all these different gods that people portray, who's to say that they're not all the same entity? They're just being represented in different ways from different cultures, but if you believe that they're different entities, or you're so strong-headed that your religion's right, you're not going to think, okay, well, maybe the one true God, he's just showing himself differently to different people, or other people have different visions, so they dress God differently, or they think he follows different ways, but ultimately it's the same God. Again, I don't have proof on this. This is just a random thought I had about a month ago, and I'm like, if that's true, I mean, that's just astounding. Here we are dividing ourselves amongst each other when we're all really following the same thing. you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. Exactly, and I always take as example if there's a bank robbery
Mm-hmm.
and you have 20 witnesses, everyone, my ringtone.
That's all right. You're a very busy person. That's okay.
But you have 20 witnesses and you talk to every one of them. They're all going to address to a different personality, a different hair color. So I think it's the same about religion because of the awareness of the people who are having that experience and the expression they give about to it. That's the difference in all of it.
Mm-hmm.
I truly think it's something like that. I also can't prove it, but it's just logical thinking.
Exactly. And I like that example, Mary. That's a really good way to look at it. I like that a lot.
Yeah,
It's just if we had more evidence, I tell my team this all the time, evidence is everything. And it would be great if we had it, to put everyone's mind to rest. But sometimes you don't, so you kind of just have to plug and play and try to build on this neutral field, to address everyone. Which, having that as a topic, addressing everyone, it kind of has me thinking about atheists, or Satanism, or people that believe truly into Lucifer and evil ways. Because I've been told by a couple people that are satanic that I've even had on my team that
yeah,
they're like, "Hey Schuler, I'm satanic, but that doesn't make me evil. I'm not following Lucifer to sacrifice babies or do blood rituals and all that. So, I believe in a certain religion that just gives more free will and a positive outreach. It's more therapeutic. At least that's what they've described to me. Of course, I haven't studied in depth about Satanism or even atheism, with how they portray everything. But I know those are two different topics, uh, viewpoints that people kind of follow, So with us talking about God, it's like, well, what about us? Well, what's your viewpoints on that, Mary?
you talked about two topics, but it's three. Everyone
Okay.
seems to forget Lucifer is just a fallen angel,
Mm.
and no one did understand him, and not even God. So he was fallen, so misunderstood. So makes him that evil. I do not know that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard to believe that if you are a person who's misunderstood, that you are evil. You're not. You're just misunderstood, and you're angry and you're kicking around. Does it make you the ultimate evil? No, I don't think so. I think the devil is something else as Lucifer, but that's just my thinking,
Of
and
course.
yeah, me looking into all the readings and all the literature. Um, so I try to get a view how people look at it. So Satanism, yeah, that's something I keep far ahead because I don't like it. That's maybe because of some places I've been to during investigations. The whole atmosphere, it doesn't feel great. It doesn't feel good to be in.
Yeah.
So Satanism, it's not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
Uh, I have a friend, he's a priest and also an exorcist. It's his job to cope with that.
Of course. Yeah, and I'm sure that helps you
Yeah,
to understand more on that topic too. Having a friend like that,
yeah,
that's
it does. It
interesting.
does. Yeah, it's interesting, and we do have interesting talks. Um, I don't know him that long, but yeah, we do debate about the good and the bad, and hell and heaven, and our different point of views. And he doesn't stick it to my throat, his beliefs, because he is listening and he's open to it,
Yeah.
and that's great. Yeah, that really is great.
And it's nice to be in an environment like that where you're not being force fed. And I've noticed that with a lot of people that I've spoken with on the paranormal topic about, religion or believing in God or prayer, or, even when it comes to evil or whatever. They're like, Schuler, I'm afraid of ways being thrown on me and being forced. I'm like, well, you shouldn't have to feel that way. It's not that somebody should force feed you what you should believe or the information you should take. It's just they should come to you in a way where they're approachable and they're giving you an option. They're giving you knowledge that they know that you can either take or you can ignore. And, I'm learning a lot from you just right now, Mary, talking about Lucifer. I do recall him being the fallen angel, but in a lot of modern media, when people think about the devil and the ultimate evil, they think about Lucifer. Like, he is top of the pyramid. That's Mr. Evil. That's who you want to stay away from. But, like you said, at one point in time, how the story goes, what we've learned throughout humanity, is that he used to be an angel as well. He made some bad decisions and he fell down. Putting it short and sweet and have a little humor to it. But it's interesting, though, to look into it to see a further evil than him himself.
Yes, it is. And if you look at the Greek mythology, you come to Kronos. He was the most evil god there was. He slashed his own sons and being put to hell in a coffin so he could never come out. So in every religion and every belief, there's something what is the ultimate evil. But the Greek don't prefer as angels, but as the gods, and they have a god for this and a god for that. That's why I also think every belief is alike, because at the end the stories are the same. They all are the same. Yeah.
That's a very good look there, Mary. I like that outlook. That's what I'm trying to say, an outlook. Because it goes back to what we were talking about earlier with the similarities from all these different religions. There's so much history out there, and what's being taught in schools, even the information that we have before us on computers, I don't feel like everything's there. It's just not enough. There might be some things that are, being hidden, but when it comes down to it, there's just so much history, and when it comes to the ultimate good and evil, there are probably a lot of gray and even dark spots that we're not seeing right now.
Yeah, I do think so too. Yeah.
So let's see, Mary, along with that, I think we've kind of covered a general part of Satanism and, what people believe Lucifer and the greater evil to be. But what about atheism?
I don't know much about atheism, but I do know they don't believe in anything. But many atheists do. No, let me put it another way. There are a lot of atheists who believe in Reiki, in energy works, that kind of stuff. So I don't think that the majority can really say they are atheists. They believe there's something, but just don't know what, and don't want to be put in a box like you're a Christian, you're a Catholic, or you're a Jew, or whatever. So the atheist is, I think, really easy to get out of the struggle of religion.
Mary, I couldn't have putting it in better words myself, to be honest with you, because I've spoken with a few atheists myself, along with being on the paranormal team and such, and that's practically what they told me. They're like, Schuler, it's not that I don't believe in entirely nothing. It's just when it comes to good and bad and angels and demons, it's difficult to pinpoint my finger on one exact thing, and I've been told more often than not that they believe in like earth energies and other type of physical energy that you can kind of grasp on, and to say the least, it's very interesting because I've kind of witnessed some people doing I believe it's pronounced Reiki and other sorts of things, and to say the least, it's very interesting. I don't have any professional experience in it, so I can't put like for sure word on it. I like to watch them and see how they believe and what they do believe in.
Yeah, you should try it one time.
Perhaps I should. I've been told it's got good vibes. It's got good energy.
Yeah, there's no better way to know what Reiki does as to experience it. Go in open-minded and just feel. Relax and feel. That's the only thing I always say. I don't want to shove it to anyone that working with energies and Reiki and Shambhala and that kind of healing systems do work, just go lay down and experience it.
You know, thinking about it now, Mary, I believe I have experienced it once. I was on a podcast called The Calling with a couple of hosts, Jerry and Jen, and his co-host, Jen, at the time, she actually practiced Reiki, and we were talking about a investigation that my team and I had done back in 2012, and just the negative impact that it had. Whatever was there, it was evil, to say the least, and I wasn't the smartest. I took something home as a souvenir, and it followed me home, and I had a great experience, not really, for a month. And I was telling them during our interview that I feel like something still lingers around me. Like there's still something here from time to time. It can't do what it used to do, because since that time I've taken back all the items, I've said prayers, I've gotten closer to God, which is my personal belief. But she did a little bit of Reiki, and I believe it helped. I still feel like there's something around me, which everything that you do spiritually or, energetic, you can't just do it one time and expect whatever around you to go away. Because if you have something really powerful around you, it's going to take a while. It's kind of like a good example in the physical world is a bully. You might have a bully that you can fight back one day and he stops, but then you find a new bully a year later, and you got to fight him twice to get him away. It's every spirit, every energy has its own type of property. And of course, I'm speaking from experience. I don't have a list of documents to prove the science, but from experience, that's what I've gathered, with spirits and such. But I may have to get back into that, having a positive meditative state is not bad. So I may have to get back into it, Mary.
Yeah, you should. It's very interesting.
Okay.
Because I do it for about 10 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I work with Reiki and the chakras, chakra healing, the aura healing, and I use it in the field also to protect myself.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, it is. We try out everything just for the investigations.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah, usually I meditate before I go on an investigation and try to be one with my feelings. My aura, I do get protection during the meditation, and I just had one bad experience by taking home something a bit negative at home, but that only was for about 5-6 days, and after that it was gone.
Well, Mary, it sounds like you know my experience then, but luckily for you it was just a week.
Yeah, a week and some bruises and an attack in my bed while I was awake, so yeah.
Would you like to go into some more detail about that, Mary? Do you feel comfortable to speak a little bit
Yeah,
about it?
I do. It's no problem at all. It's it happened a month ago.
Wow, just recent?
Before that, yeah, just recent. I was laying at my bed. Yes, now you're laughing, but I was looking at Ghost Adventures.
Okay. There's a lot of hype about Ghost Adventures. Good and
Usually,
bad,
I fall asleep usually. This time I was half asleep and half awake, and I saw from the corner of my eye, my bed cover came up high, and I had that feeling from what the So while I was thinking that, something grabbed me really hard, pushed me into my bed. So I talked shit for at least 10 minutes. My neighbors thought I was fighting with my boyfriend who wasn't at home at the time.
Goodness.
Yeah, so I cursed a lot and told him really witty F word to f*** off.
Mary, you were just giving whatever you had around you the full word, weren't you?
Yeah, because I was alone and no one was there to protect me or to save me or whatever. So it went away and I came out of bed, went down, took a cup of coffee and a cigarette, another cup of coffee, and I thought, what the heck? I go back to bed, I have to work tomorrow and everything, what is in my home, has to get the out of here.
Yes.
So I went upstairs and fell asleep, slept for 3 hours, told my two friends what happened to me, and one of them told me, you weren't sleeping, because at first I thought it was sleep paralysis, but I was just awake. And because I cursed immediately, and that's a sign that you're awake, I think.
I would
And
say.
yeah, and the next day I had some bruises on my hip, and it was in the shape of piece of the hand of someone. So I took some photographs, sent it to my friend. So she told me, see, you weren't sleeping. So we did a meditation together, and after that it's really quiet at home. And I do use holy water
Okay.
every evening.
Yeah.
Yeah, on my bed. Yeah, I spray it all over my covers.
I completely and utterly am happy that you do that. Like, I respect that, Mary. I do.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't want to interrupt you. I didn't know if you had more to your
No,
story.
no, 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 no. I finished my small experience.
Okay. Well, you say small, but to me that's a fairly large encounter. I mean, especially over a week's time, because I'm sure at the time you didn't know when it was going to end. For all you knew, this was the beginning of your new life as a paranormal investigator and, living your daily life. It's like, well, I don't know what I brought home, but only God knows when this is going to end. you know,
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Because you don't want that around you all day. It's not very comforting, but you can cope with it. But if you have that experience at your job or somewhere in your car on a highway, it's the best thing what can happen.
It's not, Mary. It's
No.
not. And I'm glad that you have been able to get rid of whatever it is that was around you. And hopefully, in future investigations, you can, not bring anything home with you. But to get back with what you were saying, in any other situation, not just being at home during the day or trying to sleep at night, being attacked, but like you said, you're driving to work on the highway or you're at the mall and something happens to you. Well, not only is it going to be uncomfortable for you as a person dealing with this weird encounter, but people are going to look at you like you're losing your mind. And this has been a thing for hundreds, if not thousands of years, about
Yeah.
people being mentally insane, criminally insane. And when it comes down to it, it's not that they have a brain disease, a physical damaged thing. It's actually they're being attacked spiritually. And the science behind the paranormal is just not physical enough for a lot of people to be like, okay, well, there's demons and angels, and maybe this person isn't schizophrenic, they're actually being possessed by a demon. It's sadly it's 2018 and people still aren't as open to this possibility, but it can mess with your
A
everyday
few.
life.
Yeah, a few are looking into it. Here in the Netherlands, they are. If they're a mental issue or if there's something else,
Yeah.
they use hypnosis and other therapy to look into it, to help you to cope with a trauma and what's the effect on you, on the voices, the attacks, what you describe. And you're not put in an asylum just right away, but it can happen. It can happen.
Yeah. Yeah, and not to say that there are people out there that are, misfortunate enough to have some type of ailment, of the brain or, other deformities and such that may alter them. But I also believe it's very possible that there are spiritual attacks that can change a person, and you can't live a normal life. Um,
Yeah.
it's scary to say the least. When I had my month of my attacks, 'cause I'm getting blown up there. When I had my month's length of attacks, I know I wasn't living normal. To put everything short here, Mary, from day one to day finish, I literally felt like I was about to vomit every single day and every single hour, every single second. I was going to school at the time. I was 17, going on to 18. It was my senior year. It was difficult. I felt like vomiting every day. There were cases where when I was at home, my bed would shake, roughly like 2, 3 in the morning, the stereotypical witching hours, And as soon as I'd get up from my bed shaking, it would stop like nothing happened. And there were no local earthquakes in my state. I would be in the shower and I would start feeling a burning sensation on my back, like I had an injury. And I know for a fact I did not hurt myself at work or at school or anything in between. And I'd get out of the shower and I'd look in my mirror and I had scratches on my back. I was actually able to take a picture of that exact moment when I was scratched on my back, so that was terrifying. On top of that, I would have nightmares of being dragged through my hallway by an invisible force, and it was slamming me against the wall and the ceiling and choking me, and I was levitating in midair, and I'd wake up in a sweat and my heart would just be pounding. So I feel like it wasn't just a nightmare, that was my spirit being attacked by
Yeah.
whatever followed me home. And I'm getting cold chills talking about it, but to say the least, I'm kind of glad I had this experience so I can share with other people. And I know this is real for my own personal confirmation, but at the same time, it's like I kind of wish we had other ways to learn and understand the paranormal.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And that's also very interesting because I have thought if you have some lucid dreams, maybe it's your soul leaving your body and your soul is really experiencing all the stuff you're talking about. Not your physically, but just the soul.
Yeah.
So that's the way, that's why it's so real. And you're waking up in sweat and your heart pounding and really scared of the experience as a whole.
Yeah.
I do think maybe it could be something like that, but then we have to experiment some more.
Man, Mary, you're speaking the absolute truth. I don't know how we could get something like that, but I'm thinking if there's a way we could hook up a virtual reality helmet, put it on while we're sleeping, and we can record everything that we see while we're sleeping, that'd be pretty cool. I don't know how it'd work, but it's food
It
for
should be
thought.
possible.
Yeah.
There's a helmet now, and it's being produced to get in different frequencies, so you can see spirits. And it's made by Katie Stafford from Paranormal Inc. He's such a great scientist. So maybe talking to him about the idea, virtual reality, but to make something real in dreams and just to tape it,
Yeah.
that would be great. That would be awesome.
It would, Mary. Yeah, I mean, I'm nothing close of a scientist, sadly, or an inventor. But I tell you, if we could find a way to get a helmet to where you can record your dreams of what you're seeing, like a video camera, that would just be astounding. Talk about a giant step in the future of not just paranormal investigating, but all sorts of different research for like brain activity and lucid dreaming and astral projection. I mean, all sorts of different stuff, not just ghosts and demons and nightmares. But
Yeah, it is. It's so interesting. All the stuff is interesting. So that's why I'm not just a paranormal investigator, but I look into all the things that pop up in my head. What if, what if, what if? Yeah.
that's the
And
best way to do it. If you don't ask the what if, I mean, you're just going to be stuck in that one little box, and you're not going to expand out because there's so much more than just paranormal investigating. That's like a scratch the surface type of thing.
yeah, but that was the one thing that Rob Demarest was talking about a few years back. A lot of people are going into the field using the methods of the Ghost Hunters International, all the way of investigation. If you look, all the teams are alike. You have a lead investigator, you have a paranormal investigator, you have a psychic. Try and have the nerves to think out of the box.
Yeah.
Try a different approach. Try something new. Just try something different. And it was really interesting to hear him say all that kind of stuff and why he was thinking the way he's thinking. So it made me think about the paranormal, the investigations, how teams do the investigations and what could we do different. So maybe we have a different approach and most different results, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's an awesome way, to take yourself as a paranormal investigator and branch out, if you will, because like what you're talking about just right now, it's very true. If you look at these guys on TV, or even people, from like paranormalsocieties.com or Facebook, and you're like, okay, that's how you do it. Well, yeah, that's how you start to do things, but if you stay like that, you're going to be, like you're saying, just the same as everyone else. You have to find those nicks and knacks where you can differentiate yourself and have something unique about yourself and the team that you work with that kind of stands you
yeah,
out. And
yeah,
and
for
Mary,
sure.
with when you investigate, you have a team, is that correct?
I'm a lone wolf, but I do work with different teams here in the Netherlands.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very, very blessed that I can come on investigations with different teams. So I go with UREX teams, and I'm a regular in a team here in the area, and we have a skeptic on board. We have a white Wiccan without a coven. We have someone from the dark side. Me, I'm a bit scientific. I work with regression, hypnosis, energies. I do have some psychic abilities. And so now and then we take a priest, an exorcist, and we work all together to get some evidence on different approaches. So that's really fun to do, and we do have fun during the investigations.
Wow, Mary, I have to say, it seems like the people that you work with, even you as a lone wolf, that's just that's like a perfect example of a smelting pot. And that's great that you guys work like that. I know we've kind of been scatterbrained here with different topics. We've talked about religion so far. We've talked about the basics of being a paranormal investigator. Talked a little bit about our most terrifying experiences, and a little short summary on our beliefs when it comes to the science behind the paranormal and religion. But I feel bad because I should have started off with you about asking how you approach as a paranormal investigator, and I'm glad you elaborated so well with who you work with and how you guys go about working. That's just really fascinating how you can get different people from different cultures, traditions, beliefs to come together to find that one answer, to discover
Yeah,
the truth behind the unknown.
yeah, it's the most important thing, and just all of us are thinking outside of the box.
Mm.
So we protect each other, and with all the different beliefs, and we do have respect for each other, and that's the number one priority: respect and love for each other.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yeah, if you don't have respect as a team and as an individual in the paranormal field or just all together, you will find yourself collapsing fairly quick. And
For sure.
negative energy is not something you want to take with you on a paranormal investigation. I know that from experience too.
No, no, you shouldn't investigate if you have any negative energy surrounding you. If you had a fight with your kids
Yeah,
or with your husband, you shouldn't investigate.
absolutely not. No, that will
Mm.
make you vulnerable in all sorts of different ways and forms.
Yeah.
There's actually a quick story I have. This goes back to 2012 again. I've been referring to 2012 a lot in other podcasts, that I've been on. I've actually always spoken about 2012 because it goes back to Central State Hospital. It's a old mental institution, and that was like one of our biggest hotspots. It's where we learned a lot. It's where we failed a lot. It's where a lot happened. Long story short, one of my investigators was down in the tunnels that is underneath the entire perimeter of this place. And
Hmm.
we had been at this location for roughly 2 hours already, and we had gotten nothing. I mean, no EVPs, no photographs, nothing on video, no sensations. We didn't hear anything, nothing. So we're all hungry, we're tired, we're thinking about calling it a night, and he decides he's fed up. He's like, well, we've been here for so long. We've been here a couple times. I want to try to get something. Because we've gotten something before, but since that first encounter, we hadn't gotten anything else. So he starts cursing. He starts saying disrespectful things to the individuals that are said to still reside there. He was mocking things that they might have gone through. And on top of that, Mary, he offered his energy while he was provoking. And I'm sure you're thinking to yourself right now, why? Why would that young man do that? Well, he wanted evidence, but that's not the best solution. Well, once again, I'm trying to make a long story short, but I'm not. But he was eventually on a stasis of borderline possession. So we had to cut the investigation off. We had to walk him out. We had to drag him out, give or take, out of the actual perimeter of the building that we were underneath. And luckily for us, there was a Catholic church across the street, so we took him over there, sat him down, because from the time that we got him out to the time we got him to the church, he was cussing us out, he was fighting us. We had to restrain him the best that we could and walk him to the church. The church was closed, so we just sat him on the front steps and we prayed over him for 25 minutes. And he finally came to. But since then, he's not been the same. He's recovered. He's still a part of the team, but he took a 3-4 year break. But he just recently came back in 2016 and helps us out with things. But every time we do a presentation or we talk about the paranormal or we're on a podcast, he tries to explain to people the importance of being smart and not provoking and not offering your energy when doing a paranormal investigation or in any situation. So I guess I'd like to ask you, Mary, what is your opinion about provocation and offering your energy with a paranormal situation?
Offering my energy, no.
Yeah.
That's a no-go. That's really a no-go. It's offering you to get drained till far beyond. And provocation, sometimes it can work, but you have to know what you're doing.
Yes.
I did provocate one time during exorcism, because he was playing with us, preying on little kids, making them scared, keeping them awake all night. And I got to the point where I was so angry, so pissed off. So I told the spirit which was in that home, if you have to play with someone, play with me, you sissy.
Bring him out. Yeah. Put the red target right on you.
Bring him out. Yeah. So I told him, I'm sorry for the words. If you want to with me, come on, bring it on. I had a good this morning.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Mary, you were going full out war with this thing, weren't you? Or whoever he was.
Yeah, at that point it was. And that was also the point where our priest got scratched.
Oh, wow.
Because, he wasn't interested in me at all, but in the priest. He didn't want to leave the home. And he went the full 100% towards the priest. So at the end, the home was cleansed all the way.
That's good.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But that was the only one I provoked an entity in a home, because I've had it. We were investigating for 3 hours and used the spirit box, the SB11. We had sensors, a voice recorder. I just heard a whisper and just teasing all the time. We heard EVP back, and it's almost he made a joke out of us. So that can make you pissed.
Of course. And you know, with a situation like that, it's like what you said too earlier there, Mary, you have to be careful when provoking. You have to know what you're doing. And I believe that some spirits, they know if they provoke you, or they know if they can attack other people that are more susceptible to their attacks. You know, it's going to anger other people. So they're getting a reaction. It's a cause and effect. So if their negativity bounces off to you, you're bouncing back to them. possibly it could feed them, and that's what they want. I mean, yeah, you're getting your evidence, and you're also kind of fighting back with whatever or whoever you're dealing with, but you most definitely want to be careful because maybe that's what they want. You kind of agree on that?
Yeah, I do agree on that. I'm so thankful I got my blessings afterwards. And yeah, the priest did a session with us and a holy mass. So
That's wonderful.
afterwards, it was really quiet. We even slept in the house,
Did you
all
really?
of us. Yeah,
Wow.
to be sure everything was gone.
Well,
Just to be,
that's
yeah,
like the best way to test after everything that you've done, all the cleansing, all the investigating, the poking and prodding. Best way to find out is if you stay the night there yourself.
yeah,
Because you're the last people that this thing has messed with, and I'm sure the last people he wants to see. So if he's still there, or it's going to mess with you. It's like, hey, get out of my house.
yeah. You're vulnerable when you're sleeping. So if anything is left, you're going to get it.
Yeah, hopefully it's not too smart, where, because I've read and I've heard by people face to face stories about where demonic entities, not so much an evil entity, which that's a topic I would like to cover with you next. Um,
Yeah.
but it's not an evil entity they're talking about, but it's a completely demonic entity. They're like, Schuler, there's been times where I've had something happen to my, inside my home, and it would stop for a week. I would sage, I would say prayers, and it would stop for a week or even a month, and it would come right back. They lie dormant, and they tell me, they say, Schuler, I think this is something demonic, not something evil like a mean old man that used to own a farm. I think this is something evil that's never been human, and it has enough power to just like leave me alone, make me think it's gone, and then come right back and start attacking again, like rebuild its energy. Do you believe that's possible, even after do a
I do.
cleansing?
Yeah, I do believe it's possible, but I also believe that not every investigator or investigation team will end up crossing a path with something evil. Most of the entities we come across are just angry spirits,
Okay.
nasty people in life, and nasty ones in death. Hooked on drugs, alcohol,
Okay.
cigarettes. I think most entities are in that category.
Okay. Yeah, I've over here in the United States at least I've heard mixed reviews on both, but from my personal experiences as well, Mary, I completely agree with you. Like most investigations that I have done with my team, I feel that they were nasty people. They weren't
Yeah.
truly demonic. The only location and investigation I can say that I, honest to God, believe we had a real demon or demons around us was Central State Hospital. And a lot of people from my state of Indiana here in the U.S., I'm sure they know about Central State. But just to give a little brief history about it, it's a little over 150 years old. It was built in 1848. It closed in 1994. It was said it closed due to financial reasons, but there was an article that was kind of released, not fully, saying that there was some type of outbreak of patients attacking the nurses and the doctors, and they just couldn't contain them anymore. So they shut the place down and they released all the patients out to the streets, which also makes sense of why we have so many issues with the homeless and mental illness here in Indianapolis, in Indiana, in general, just as a whole. But I believe from everything that's happened there, they've spoken about doctors and nurses practicing in demonic rituals. They've talked about, even after the closing, they've had cults come through and try to open portals to hell. I mean, there's just so many things that could have happened over a time of 150 plus years, You just don't know everything. The things that we encountered down there, Mary, I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's one thing to say it, it's one thing to show it, but it's a whole nother thing to actually experience it. And I believe we experienced some demonic things there. And fortunately, we've been able to get past it and cleanse ourselves and our families, and possibly some of the things that's happened in our lives could have been due to investigating that location, maybe not. But where we're at in life now, I feel that we're pretty safe and we're good. And if we do come across another location or an entity like we did at Central State, we're a lot more, we're a lot safer now. And I believe we'll be more prepared so we don't have any history repeat, you know?
Yeah, I do get it. But you also have the ground where everything is built on.
Oh, yes.
Native Americans, they had their rituals, war gods, and stuff like that. I think it's a mixture of everything what's in the soil over at your place. We don't have it over here.
Yeah.
No Native Americans, but we do have a very old history also. I think it's also an influence on the spirits you encounter in locations. We do have something like a hell house over here in the Netherlands. Yeah. If you go there, 9 out of 10 get attached by something we believe is not or was ever human at all.
Yeah, it's something totally interdimensional, if you will, if that's the best way to categorize something like that. It's not from this world. You know, and Mary, that's something I'm glad you brought up. It's like, you know, there's the U.S., almost the entire world knows about the U.S., you know, and that's great and all, but sadly, from my experience as an American, we haven't been given the right amount of information about other countries and continents in the world. You know, we're given a brief little shebang like, hey, these people exist, here's a little history, but if you really want to know the history about the world and other countries, you have to do it yourself after the fact of school, you know, and like the Netherlands, I hate to say I don't know much about the Netherlands, but as a paranormal investigator, I have been opened up to so much more, not just in the U.S. but around the world. You know, like the UK and Russia and Germany and Sweden. I mean, there's just so much out there. If I ever get the chance to get my team mobile, trust me, we will be international, because it's not just the paranormal that we want to go after. It's the history, it's the tradition, it's the people that we get to interact with. I mean, we as a people are what make the spiritual thing a thing. You know, I mean, it's like we're going back to, it's a puzzle, you know, and we all happen to be a piece.
Yeah, you have a piece of the puzzle, but maybe one of my team also has just a small piece of the puzzle. And if we, at the end, work together with all the different pieces, we get a whole.
Exactly.
A big picture. Yeah.
And so, go ahead, Mary.
Yeah,
You're
that's
fine.
why you have to, yeah, that's why you have to work together and be open for different ideas and different approaches, and not just saying it's nonsense because this is what my experience is. Maybe they bring you to whole other ideas. So you come back to faith and belief and respect for one another, and different insights.
Exactly. I mean, who's to say that one day our teams won't come together, you know, and everyone that knows things about hellhounds, because we notoriously have some over here too, apparently, you know, and who's to say that we don't come together one day and it's like, hey, Mary, I learned this from this investigation about hellhounds. You're like, well, hey, Schuler, check this out. Just a month ago, my team did this with hellhounds, and you won't believe what we found. Well, we pieced that together, and it's like, wow, what if, from both our experiences, this is possible with hellhounds? And then we learn a whole new lot about this one phenomenon, you know, and it's a lot of the things that we speak about with the paranormal is kind of redundant, and people are like, I've heard this 1,000 times, but repeating the same thing until you're definite on something is kind of the whole point, you know, because once you repeat something so many times, it's like, okay, we got this down. What's the next step to learn more about what we're already learning about, you know?
Yeah, it's like inventing the wheel over and over and over again.
Exactly.
Try something new.
Until you perfect it, if possible.
Yeah, if possible. Maybe not me, and maybe not you, but maybe one of these days, one of our kids or grandkids, or maybe further on, but we will find it.
our work and obviously work, from other people that's our predecessors that's done what we're doing has helped us a lot. And it's all about one step at a time, and sadly, our lifetime isn't probably it's not long enough for that one step, but we're helping continue that step, and perhaps one day we can understand this whole crazy thing called the paranormal.
Yeah, and science are backing us up.
Exactly.
That's the most important thing. Yeah.
Which is a great thing too, Mary, because a lot of people, especially that are hardcore religious, which I would like to point out there that everything we're speaking about, especially religion, we're not trying to force anybody to believe a certain way or think a certain way, and we're also not telling you how to believe, because we don't have the answers for everything. This is strictly conversation and discussion. But when it comes to people with religion, I have experienced personally that they're like, it's either spirituality or it's science, which I believe it can meet in the middle. You can have spirituality and science. I mean, the way I see it is, for one, we have a spirit, and I also have science. I've created things. I use technology that's not spiritual, but it's scientific. And at the same time, we use scientific methods to interact with the spirit world, which to me has proven positive results. So, it's interesting, bringing two of those different categories together. What about you, Mary?
Yeah, I'm also fighting for it. I use my senses if I go on a location, but I still want to prove that I'm hearing what I'm hearing. So
Exactly.
we do use technology, and we have a tech guy, and we use voice recorders, we use spirit boxes, but you also can use hearing aids. If you put them in the right frequency, you can hear it. You should hear it, because a spirit box is doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And on that idea, you can think of so much more.
Mary, that is just phenomenal. I'm going to admit this. I've never thought about using a hearing aid before, and you're the first person that's ever suggested to me to use that as a piece of equipment. Out of all the teams that I've worked with and interacted with, you're the first. And that's really great. That is like a really fascinating way to interact with the paranormal. Like, you can hear something. You may not be able to record it with the hearing aids, but let's say that you have an EVP going on, and you can't hear it right there on EVP unless you play it back. But if you have that hearing aid, that's just going to guarantee or help you amplify what you're hearing. Play back the EVP, it's like, okay, I did hear that.
Yeah, it's all about frequencies.
Yeah.
So a hearing aid is also about frequencies, because if you are having a hearing problem, it's a certain frequency you can't hear. So it should be possible.
I would believe that as well, Mary. That's something I'm going to have to bring across my team, to be honest with you. It's like, that would be a great, what was the word I'm looking for? This scientific word I'm wanting to use, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. But anyways, it would be a great test.
Yeah, we're testing it also.
Yeah. Man. Yeah, when it comes to technology and the spirit world, I believe they can coexist. They may not be on the same exact plane, but there's obviously been times, even when people don't mean to, they've captured something on a security camera, or they take a picture of a family photo or a wedding, and there's something in the back. Well, that's science and the spirit world combining together as one, and they're not even meaning to. So I get that there's fabrications out there. Sadly, there are people that like to mess around with people like us and make us look bad, or just play a game and throw people off. Whatever their true intentions are, sadly, they're out there doing it. But there are also cases where these things are very real, and I just think it's fascinating, to put it at the least.
At least, yeah, it is.
So, Mary, the topic that I was wanting to highlight with you as well is evil spirits, which I know we've kind of covered, but I'd like to get in a little more detail real quick. Is evil spirits and completely demonic spirits, entity that's not known to have ever been human or anything of this natural world, not even animal. Well, what's your input on the two of the differences between those two. First off, I guess I should ask, do you believe it's possible that there is such a thing as an evil human spirit and a demonic spirit? Because some people try to say that they're all the same sometimes.
I do believe there's something that what is evil. Why should some people get poltergeist in their home? It's not friendly to throw with pots and pans and get pushed down the stairs. So I think there's evil, demonic. I don't know if I listen to the priest, that friend of mine. Yeah, there will be a demonic entity. Have I seen one? No. Have I crossed the path with one? No.
Okay.
So maybe I should trip on some of the spirits to get an opinion on it.
Yeah. Just be safe with it though, Mary, because they're nothing to play with.
I'm not playing with spirits. I'm very nice. I'm very friendly normally, and also in my questioning, I'm just want to talk. I want some answers, and if I can help them to get to the light or get enlightenment, I will do so.
That's wonderful, Mary.
Yeah, I am friendly, but demonic, I can't answer it really.
Well, I guess I'll tie in with you, Mary, on this. From my experiences, of course, I can't prove this, but I do believe personally that there are two types. There are evil spirits, which have been human, cranky people. Some people believe that humans can't stay here, unless there's like a reason, but I believe that they can. They can be stuck, they can choose to stay, and they can also be nasty, mean people, like entities that you've encountered. And I also believe, however, whether they're summoned or they have a purpose to be there in that exact spot, there can be demonic entities. Like I said, out of the 7 years that I have, going on 9, that I've investigated and had my team, I've only had one location with possibly having demonic entities in it. Other than that, the other encounters I've had have been innocent. They've been a little creepy, but nothing, malevolent. But I do believe that both of them are possible and that they're two types of entities. It's just weird because you can't pinpoint exactly what you're messing with when it comes to spirits, because for the most part they're invisible to the naked eye. Unless they choose to show themselves, unless they have enough energy, unless you have the right equipment, you're there at the right time. Even if you see what you're seeing, they can still show themselves as a little girl, and maybe it's a 48-year-old man that's mean and he just has some type of power, some way to manipulate himself, or maybe it's not even human, it's a demon and he's trying to look like a little girl. To me, there's possibilities, but can I promise you there are demons out there in every location or any location? No. I can only say from what I've experienced, I believe it's very possible that there are things out there that are meaner than our meanest people. And they can interact with you if you give them the chance, or if you just happen to be at the wrong place at the right time. And to top it off, Mary, you were talking about how you're a nice person, which is a great thing, but you also talk about how you stand your ground and you push spirits back if you have to, which is a phenomenal thing, because negative entities, from what I've been told and experienced, they feed off fear. So if you're standing there or you're dealing with what you're dealing with and you're crying or you're afraid or you're just trying to run away from it, I feel like the accusations are true. They'll feed off that, and they'll be a heck of a lot worse than they were a week ago. So for the fact that you're fighting them back and you're like, hey, get the hell out of here, you don't belong here, you're not allowed to say this, you're not allowed to do this, that's wonderful, because we all have free will, we all have the right. And even as a spirit, even though there's a spirit and you can't punch it, it can't harm you unless you allow it to harm you, or unless you don't know what you're doing, and with the right training, with the right knowledge, which is very easy for anyone to get, you can stand your ground. You can push these things away and make them go away. And I'm glad you do that, Mary. I really am.
Yeah. I also believe if you do it in your normal life, you stand your ground, you have to do it in the investigations as well. Mm-hmm. You don't see him, you don't hear them, not all the time. Sometimes I do hear them, sometimes I feel them, sometimes I smell them, but I don't take it. I just don't take it. No one is giving me any fear,
Yeah.
not in life, no spirits. I don't give them any permission to do that. And I think that's the only way to do a safe investigation. If you're afraid, you shouldn't do an investigation.
I agree completely. Because I've even had guest investigators, come along with our team, and we have them sign a waiver, just to guarantee that, they won't hold us accountable. But we let them know everything that they need to know, from the gear to the safety to the do's and the don'ts. And, they're ready. They're gung-ho when we're starting up the investigation. But when it comes time to actually, when we're down there in the tunnels, or we're out in a barn or something and things start happening, I've had a couple investigators ask if we could leave. And I'm like, absolutely. Because you staying here, even though you may want to experience something, is not worth the fact that you could have some type of physical or even spiritual harm done to you because you're so afraid. And everyone, they learn things and they can accept things on different levels at different times. And some people, they're just not ready for such a thing. So it's something you have to take with a grain of salt, and try to help people prepare for it. But if not, then it's just not meant for them. That's why they would prefer to watch our videos on YouTube or on the Discovery Channel or Travel Channel with Ghost Adventures.
Exactly. I agree on that. Yeah. And we were on an investigation with the Urbex team, and they had encountered some spirits and didn't know what to think of it. One told the other, and they were asking, did you drink?
Yeah.
Were you drunk, or did you use weed or something like that? But
That's funny.
he was sober, so he didn't, the one didn't believe the other. And if you go to a location and take those same guys and you use your equipment and show that their experience was real, and we have it all over again, that's the most wonderful thing you can do. But that one is still afraid. He's almost pissing his pants if he hears something. Yeah,
Well,
he's
Mary,
really scared.
Well, like you're saying, it's just not made for everyone. But I will give people the benefit of the doubt, for them trying. And it's great that they're at least wanting to experience and understand the paranormal world. It's a wonderful thing, but it can also be a dangerous thing too. If you don't know what you're doing, like you were stating earlier,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
very
and
real.
yeah, it brings dangers to others who are with you. If you are on drugs or alcohol and you get attached, and it can be a risk if you have someone like that in your team.
It is, Mary, and that's a very good point to make on that too, because there are people out there that panic when they take certain drugs or even when they drink alcohol, and you don't want someone like that on your team at the time. And
No.
because that can contaminate your evidence. It can completely ruin your investigation. They become a liability because they're more prone to being attacked in multiple ways, not just spiritually. And they can also be a danger to you. It goes along with that. People that commit suicide or that attack people, the media will cover it as a suicide, or the media will cover it as a drug enhancement. That's why they attack the cop. Well, who's to say that if you're not the one doing the autopsy, you're not the one there with the paperwork and you're seeing what's going on, who's to say that they weren't actually possessed by something? You don't know if they were sitting in their bedroom trying to conjure up a demon or selling their soul or whatever, that may turn them into someone that they're really not. But especially on investigations, you don't want someone like that on the team with you, because it can really mess with your content for sure and be potentially
But
dangerous.
also with your health. People like that, they are easier to get sick,
Yes.
get real sickness and health issues. So maybe I do it in my team, protect them by not taking them.
Yes.
Yeah.
We do the same thing
But
here too, Mary.
I don't want anyone to have a heart attack or fainting, falling down the stairs because of using drugs, medication, alcohol.
Yeah.
I don't want it. No. What
It's
shall I tell the police?
exactly. Yeah, we're out here looking for quote unquote dead people, and my friend just died, and yeah, that would be a lovely story to have on your record.
Yeah,
Oh my
I make
goodness.
the papers now.
Hey, you would, Mary. That is one positive. I'm glad you're keeping it positive. You would make the papers. Local
Yeah,
paranormal team. What a
accused
headline.
of murder.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Man, yeah, it can be very, very tricky when it comes to people like that. You know, it's sad when they choose to, do that. If they can at least hold off and not do it for an investigation, if they really want to go that bad, that would be great. But if not, then like you're saying, it's all about safety. It really is.
yeah.
So, Mary,
But
I'm sorry.
I love it for an experiment. If you go with a big team,
Yeah,
an exorcist, a normal priest, some expert with an Ouija, take a Wiccan, a satanic person, and use the drugs addict as a bait.
man, that is how you get your evidence. I mean, you're pulling all sorts of different energies into one single spot. I mean, you might actually have a physical explosion, that bright light, and then just bam,
Oh, I
a new
only
Big Bang.
wish. I only wish. No, but it are things that cross my mind.
No, I totally get what you're saying. Yeah, I've thought about
Yeah,
some pretty out of the way ways of getting some evidence. It's like, well, if they're attracted to this, it's morally terrible, but we can get the evidence.
yeah. Or
But
bring someone in a meditation or in hypnosis and put
yes,
them in the middle of the room and see what happens and put all the gear surrounding that person to protect him. But yeah, just to see what happens.
exactly. If you could find someone that strong, and willing, of course, I mean, that would be a great trigger object, and it
Yeah,
could possibly bring in something like a magnet. That's a fascinating way to look at things.
yeah.
So, Mary, let me ask you. I've been talking a whole bunch over here and just throwing out all sorts of different things at you. What about you, Mary? Is there anything that you would like to highlight specifically? Something that really fascinates you when it comes to the paranormal?
Oh my God. What fascinates me is a number of hauntings in the States. Here in the Netherlands, we don't hear it that much.
Yeah.
There are claims of spirits in castles, in bunkers, in fortresses, but not as much as in the States.
Wow.
So, what is it about the States?
Mary, the only thing I can think of, and this is coming right now, as soon as you ask that question, the only thing I can think is that the United States was sadly built on blood. All the war, all the stealing, the rape of the land and the people. I mean, there was just so much negativity when the original settlers came down. I get that the intentions in the beginning were probably pure. I guess hence why you call them Puritans. But
Yeah,
over time, obviously, the natives of this land were betrayed and killed. Then other immigrants would come from different countries, Germany, Ireland, obviously Britain. I mean,
the Netherlands.
the Netherlands, yes, Netherlands,
Yes,
Norway, Sweden.
yeah. We
I,
came also.
I mean, everybody came down here
Yeah,
when the Americas was made like a quote unquote open port. Everybody was welcome. Bring your traditions, bring your culture, bring everything. And that's when everyone came. And, of course, it started in New York and everywhere from the east and expanded out. And then you had the Wild West. And I mean, there's just so much bloodshed. People were killing for land, people were killing for women, people were doing ungodly things to children. I mean, I know that happens everywhere in the world, but when you
yeah,
ask, why does there seem to be more paranormal activity in the United States compared to the Netherlands or another European country? It's the first thing I will say is just because of all the negativity that came to this country being built, all the bloodshed. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
So, happily to say, you guys seem to be more positive, loving people.
Not for sure.
Well, I'm not saying everybody is. There's good and bad everywhere, but
Yeah.
at least you guys don't have
Yeah.
as many paranormal blood stains, I guess. But in your case, that's kind of bad because you need some evidence. But
Yeah, we do need some evidence, but I have some idea to get it.
of course, bring it in. You got to build your
Always,
magnet.
always. Yeah.
I
Like
t-
you have all different kind of things. You have Tommy knockers. You have Bigfoot. You have everything. So why? Just share with us.
Mary, that's a wonderful question. I would love to know. Well, personally, when it comes to cryptids, like Loch Ness Monster is not in the U.S., but there's been speculation that the Loch Ness can travel from, these underground tunnels and come to different lakes, to different countries. But that's a whole nother story. But when it comes to American cryptids, let's talk about we got werewolves or shapeshifters, if you will.
Yeah.
We've got Bigfoot. We've got the Mothman. Obviously UFOs, but that's kind of international. Tommyknockers. I don't know if you can call Tommyknockers paranormal or cryptid. I believe it's an in-between. It could be both because obviously there's not much evidence on them. But when it comes to things like Tommyknockers, I would put them under the category of paranormal. And that's because you see more of the stories around caves and mines. And obviously, when America was being built and becoming the beautiful country that it became, there was a lot of gold mines, there were a lot of mineral mines, there were a lot of oil mines. I mean, people were just underground all the time taking these resources, and obviously a lot of people died. And the stories with Tommyknockers and similar, entities is that they're trying to help people, or they're trying to lure people to their death to join them, because that's just what they do. Cryptids. Now, cryptids, on the other hand, some of them are native stories, like the Wendigo. Some of them also the shapeshifters. So that, I think, originated here, from what I've read. But Sasquatch, Bigfoot and Mothman and other urban creatures that are supposed to be physical, not so much spiritual, or interdimensional, let's say. Whether or not...
Yeah, also skinwalkers.
Skinwalkers, thank you. That's what I was looking for. That's what I was looking for, skinwalkers. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Whether or not they came across the seas from certain countries, perhaps they weren't called Sasquatch at the time. Perhaps they weren't called Mothman, but they derived from an older folklore, and they came across the seas. That's one possibility. Who's to say that it wasn't just the American people that came, and they became Americans, whatever. They made these stories, whether it's to scare the children to stay indoors, whether or not it's to... just bring some good reputation to the local town so they can get more business. People they're going to want to stay at the hotel because what do they want in that town? They want to see Sasquatch, or they want to see Mothman. So it's a moneymaker. But then again, who's to say, Mary, when people move to this land, or even the natives just, being here originally, who's to say that this land just didn't come with these things, and
No one knows.
Whether or not you call it fortunate or unfortunate, that's a person's personal opinion.
Yeah.
But you're right, though. I mean, you're so very right. There are so many things that you can point at America and be like, you got this, you got that. And you also got some of those, too. But when you look at the Netherlands or Sweden or Norway, and I keep relating to those because I've been trying to look for a lot of locations in those areas. So they just fascinate me. I have found that there's not as many compared to the UK.
We have
the UK.
white witches.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now I have to think, what do we have over here? The white witches, and I think that's the only one I've heard of.
Well, I mean, at least you have normal spirits too. You have your traditional people that stay back or they get stuck, but it is fascinating because I haven't delved into too much information on the Netherlands with cryptids and such, but for the fact that you apparently don't have that many to go about, that is something else. It's odd, to say the least.
Yeah, it is. And there are different countries who have different cryptids or whatever they have, and
Yeah.
different beliefs like vampires
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff. Yeah, we don't have it over here.
Wow.
Vampires, not what that I know of.
Well, if that's completely true, and it's not the fact that people are just holding the stories back and they just don't want to share it and scare people. If I ever find myself needing to retire, Mary, and I want to get away from the paranormal and all the crazy stuff that we have around us, I think I will try to find myself a nice home in the Netherlands, in front of a beautiful
You
lake.
should. You should. It's a beautiful environment. We have sea, so you can swim and you can sunbathe. We have woods, we have dunes, we have a lot of things. Beautiful places.
That's awesome. That is just truly remarkable, because I mean it goes back to my history lesson here. Not to bore everyone, but as an American learning history, that's the Netherlands among several other countries. We just don't learn much about that. I don't know if it's because they don't want us to or what their true agenda is, but we don't learn much about the world's history or other neighbors like we should, and it's sad. But I guess that's why it's up to us once we grow up and get old enough, try to get ourselves built right and start traveling. And that's what I would love to do with my team is travel around the U.S. Obviously, well, right now we're pretty local, but we'd like to go nationally, and then eventually, if we can find ourselves in the right position and find the right people to work with, go international. Travel the world and just learn as much as we can from everybody that we can. It'd just be great.
Yeah, that would be great. I think about that too. I'm now trying to get a few teams together, a team out of Belgium.
Awesome.
A guy from the UK and one of Scotland were coming over next year, and we're doing an investigation all together in March next year. So to see how they work, the methods they use, and get some background from their own places where they've been. And I want to go to the UK. Belgium is just around the corner.
Yeah.
It's an hour drive for me.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. And Germany only 15 minutes. And
Really?
it's
Wow.
very close.
That is so cool.
We're small. We're a very small country.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something else, Mary, and I dislike being so ignorant on my geography, but that is just great. I thought a lot of my ancestors came from Germanic history backgrounds, but I guess not, because I did one of those ancestry kits, but I don't know how accurate they really are. Apparently, they do update tests with customers that's already done a test, and they can change. Apparently, you might gain more of a certain history, or you might lose some. But my background is showing that I'm like 53% British, and like
Okay.
and 17%, 7% Irish, and then like 2 or 3% German, and then the rest is just like 1% or less than 1%. But I was really hoping that 53% would be German. I mean, it's also a reason why my parents gave me the name Schuler. I'm guessing because my dad's side and my mom's side both had more German background and obviously Irish. So we come from Irish and German descendancy, but apparently British too. I did not know that, but I like Doctor Who, so that might be why. That might be why.
Yeah, I like bagpipes, so maybe I have some Scottish heritage.
There you go, man. I mean, who's to say? I mean, there's been so many years going on with this world. We just don't have all the back notes, I guess. But it's interesting when you find out so much. It's like, wow, this is cool.
Yeah, it is. It is.
But one day, Mary, I tell you, Germany, I have to go to Germany at least once. I love the tradition and I love the atmosphere. That's been my goal.
Yeah, it's a beautiful country.
Oh, I
It's
bet
much
it is.
bigger than the Netherlands, and I've been there so many times, and it is really beautiful.
Wow. Well, Mary, perhaps you can take some pictures for me sometime if you do not mind, and you could share those with me because I would love to see the real life Germany instead of looking at books all the time, you know?
If I go to Germany the next time, I will take some pictures.
That will be
I promise.
fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah. You're
So,
welcome.
Mary, is there anything else that you would like to highlight? I see that we're at a pretty good time for our talk here. We could talk about the paranormal for days, in my personal opinion, and we will most definitely have to do another talk. But is there anything else that you would like to highlight before we call it an end, I suppose?
No, not at this point. No, my head is all clear.
Okay.
Nothing left.
Awesome, awesome. I know a lot that we covered today was kind of basic for most people that are into the paranormal, but for those that are, still kind of new or just, pretty simple with the paranormal, I'm sure is pretty good knowledge and everything. And I think it's just wonderful the different opinions from paranormal investigators from different teams, yet alone from across the world. We're two different people from two different countries, and we're here relating, we're here making differences. I mean, it's wonderful. This is what it's about.
Yeah.
This is ultimately what the goal is as a paranormal investigator and what the paranormal brings. That one true answer of finding out what is the unknown.
Exactly.
It's just
I couldn't
crazy.
say it any better. Yeah.
Well, Mary, I would like to thank you so very much for your time and for all the information that you've shared with us today. And you have really helped. I think I'm gonna try out that what we got, the not earbuds, but the ear aid, the hearing aid. I think I may have to try to get me some and try that. That'd be a really cool experiment.
Yeah, you should. And I want to know if you tried them.
Mary, I promise you'll be the first one to know, for sure. I owe you that much.
Cool.
Well, Mary, I would like to thank you for coming in and, talking with me on everything. I had a wonderful time, and I hope everyone else that's listened to this will also enjoy our talk. And I most definitely want to talk again, Mary.
For sure, we talk again.
Awesome.
I loved it. I loved it a lot. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm glad you did, Mary. Well, I look forward to next time, and until then, stay frosty, and you have a wonderful day.
The same to you.
Alright, so I just wanted to thank you guys for stopping by and taking a listen with the Para Connection Podcast and PILT Paranormal. I hope you all enjoyed this first episode, because I know I did, and I'm looking forward to making a lot more. Please be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, subscribe to us on YouTube, create your own account on our official website, or even subscribe to us here on our podcast. Whatever you decide to look for, you can find all of our social media by simply typing in PILT Paranormal on Google. Now, just for the record, our YouTube channel is still being worked on, but will be our go-to place once they are finished and uploaded. And our website is the best place to find out information regarding our team, and also a great reference point for those seeking help regarding the paranormal or simply wanting to discuss the paranormal. Regardless of what outlets you decide to use, these outlets are for you, so that you may keep up to date with us and be able to check out all of our paranormal adventures. Now, if you would like to hang out with Mary and keep up to date on her adventures, be sure to go to Facebook or type in on Google Ghost Talk Live with Mary Willemsen. And from there, you'll be able to keep up with Mary and all of her adventures and broadcasts. Now, if any of you have any questions, concerns, or comments, please feel free to drop us a comment below and let us know what you're thinking or what you would like to hear. Or contact our team directly through our Facebook, Instagram, or website, and we'll be sure to get back with you as soon as possible. Alright, I think that pretty much covers everything that needs to be covered. I'd personally just like to thank everyone once again for stopping by and listening to the podcast, and I hope you stop by again next time for our newest episode. Again, this is Schuler Johnson with PILT Paranormal. As always, stay frosty.